spread again on social media when photos of Jimin and Jungkook's trip to Vietnam surfaced. Jimin's post showing a portrait Jungkook had drawn for him sparked a wave of hostile comments. Many accounts opened Jungkook's dog Bam's profile and left insulting messages about his owner. Among the messages were explicit demands. Some demanded that Jungkook get in a relationship with a woman, calling him gay, as if the term were an insult. These comments exposed the homophobic nature of those who considered themselves Jungkook's admirers. Others pressured Jungkook to film a travel show with Taeyoung. They even openly stated that Jungkook was Taeyoung's husband, and therefore he should respect their imaginary relationship. The messages multiplied in the form of demands, ultimatums, or taunts, all aimed at controlling who he spent time with offstage. The segment of the fandom that unconditionally supported Jungkook demanded that the singer take on more work and projects, ignoring his right to rest. The trouble doesn't end there. A fan has been known to edit Jimin's original signature, erase his original background, and create a fake conversation with a restaurant to imply a non-existent romantic encounter. The goal of those launching these attacks appears to be to drive a wedge between Jimin and Jungkook, two artists who have shared more than a decade of their careers and shared affections. Some insist their closeness is limited to fan service, while others suggest secret contracts or publicity stunts. But evidence of their bond is abundant and consistent over time. They trained together as trainees, debuted in the same group, traveled the world on tour, and experienced significant personal moments with each other. It's been nearly 11 years since the two first met in a company dorm. They've shared dance practices that ended in the early hours of the morning, collaborated on songs, and most recently, coped with military service by supporting each other. Their shared posts feature personal gifts like portraits of Vietnam, after-work coffee shop hangouts, and late-night gaming sessions. In interviews, each naturally mentions the importance of the other in their daily lives. Jungkook highlights Jimin's discipline when practicing new choreography. Jimin praises Jungkook's creativity in music production and photography. Back to the current conflict, the backlash against the Vietnam images has exposed several issues: intolerance of diversity, invasion of privacy, and irresponsible rumor-mongering. It's important for them to remember that respect is the starting point for any online interaction. Jimin and Jungkook as a couple deserve the same treatment as any other romantic relationship. The freedom to decide who they spend time with, what they show online, and how much personal detail they reveal. No one, not fans, producers, or commentators, has the right to demand a life tailored to someone else's tastes. Remember when he started his military service and rumors circulated that the company had forced Jungkook to enlist with Jimin? Every time something related to them happened, it seemed like there was always a new excuse to explain what they didn't want to accept. As time went on, many people tried to separate the obvious with conflicting theories. But the real question is, when will they stop denying what they've been trying to hide? The only clear truth in all of this is that Jimin and Jungkook made their decision over 2 years ago. They did it consciously without having to give any public explanation. They chose to follow their own plans, share their time, and live their own lives. The Are You Sure project, the buddy system that had them meet on the same dates and places, their trip to Japan, and their recent vacation are consistent signs of a solid relationship. No matter how hard they try to separate their names, they always show that they are on the same side, side by side. There are small moments that speak louder than any official statement. For example, remember that calligraphy shop you visited a while back? Recently, that same place shared a new autograph signed by Jimin and Jungkook. It wasn't a big post or a media event. It was a simple but meaningful hint, coupled with testimonials from people who have met them on some of their personal trips, like their flight to Vietnam. A flight attendant who was on that same flight shared something special. She said she didn't dare approach them to ask for a photo. Instead, she wrote them a handwritten note. In it, she expressed her respect and gratitude for being able to serve the 2 BTS members during that flight. The note read, "Good afternoon, welcome to Vietnam Airlines. It was a great honor for me to have the opportunity to serve the BTS team on our flight today. I wish you all the best and have a safe journey." The witness said she left the restaurant quickly because she was nervous. But later a booth attendant told her that they both read the note and laughed. In other words, they took it well. This gesture reflects the closeness between them, even in unexpected situations. Another interesting testimony comes from someone who went to dinner at a restaurant in Vietnam. According to her account, while she was there, the Wi-Fi stopped working for a moment. At that time, she saw Jimin and Jungkook also in the same restaurant. The restaurant staff confirmed that they went secretly. In order to protect their privacy, they did not allow her to take photos. What is clear is that they shared that night privately, without any intention of making it public. It was an intimate and secret moment, one of the many moments they had together without seeking attention. That same night, it was discovered that Jimin and Jungkook had their last date before leaving Vietnam. The date was not posted on social media. It was not an event organized or publicized by their agencies. It was simply a moment shared between two people who decided to accompany each other through this stage of their lives. Each of these situations does not require much explanation. They are facts, not assumptions. When connected with everything that has happened over the years, they form a coherent narrative. The relationship between Jimin and Jungkook has been present in their personal choices, their travels, their projects, and the moments they try to hide from the media spotlight. They do it consistently, quietly, without seeking validation. Therefore, even though they continue to create reasons to doubt or separate, there is one line that remains clear. They have chosen to continue walking together not because anyone forced them, but because they wanted to. And they have shown it in every detail, no matter how small it may seem. One of the most obvious aspects of Jimin and Jungkook's relationship is the constant repetition of certain intimate gestures. These are not coincidences or casual moments caught on camera. These are clear and consistent patterns that have become part of the way they are together. These movements are repeated every time they are around each other, as if it were a normal part of their bond. Touching each other without fear, searching for each other with their eyes, or getting used to each other are behaviors that have occurred many times in different places and times. These behaviors do not seem artificial or forced. These movements are natural, as couples who know each other well and are comfortable sharing physical and emotional space do. The intimacy they display when touching and looking at each other shows a closeness that goes beyond ordinary friendship. Oftentimes, even when they are surrounded by other people, these gestures continue to occur as if nothing else matters at that moment. The way they relate to each other shows that their relationship is based on trust, comfort, and genuine affection. There are people who, when sharing a stage or in public moments, try to draw attention with planned interactions. But in the case of Jimin and Jungkook, these gestures are not meant to stand out or impress. These gestures are so simple that they can only be explained by habit and sincerity. When something is repeated over and over again, it naturally becomes clear. And in this case, the proof is that Jimin and Jungkook do not need words to show who they really are. The relationship between Jimin and Jungkook has been evident for years, and they do not need public statements to be understood. Although they have never given a name to what they have, their actions speak louder than any words. Every gesture, every look, every physical contact they share reveals a relationship built on sincerity and closeness. Jimin doesn't try to convince anyone. They simply experience their bond as something natural and part of their daily lives. It's easy to notice when someone wants to attract attention with a big or exaggerated gesture, especially if they're the center of attention. However, Jimin and Jungkook don't play that game. They don't do anything that seems planned or exaggerated. Instead, their actions are repeated at different times and places, and always with the same natural tone. They don't act to be talked about. They act because they're used to being together, and this is reflected in the way they live together. Many moments they share between them show how they understand each other without speaking. A touch on the arm, a constant gaze, the fact that they sit close to each other, or the way Jimin pays attention to details when Jungkook is present and vice versa. All of this shows a relationship based on the habit of being close, not out of obligation or image, but because that's what they both want. Although some people try to deny what they see or downplay it, each new public appearance between Jimin and Jungkook ends up producing more signs that they are united by a strong bond. The repetition of gestures is not something that is maintained by chance. These actions, when they occur consistently over time, indicate a deep connection. And in this case, it is a connection that cannot be ignored.